For a little bit, it's felt like this Red Sox lineup's been set in stone. Now, I'm not entirely sure. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and thank you very much for clicking on this video. Recently, we made a video talking about how it kind of sounded like Alex Cora was accepting the fact that both Marcelo Mayer and Roman Anthony were most likely going to start in AAA baseball. And while that still is the prevailing theory at this point, some things have changed recently to muddy those waters a little bit, to make things interesting with just a week to go towards the end of spring training, specifically when it comes to Marcelo Mayer. Now, what am I talking about here? Well, yesterday, the Red Sox put out a really interesting lineup. It was this lineup right here, and if you notice, kind of is exactly what the Red Sox are most likely going to look like on opening day, with one big exception. Marcelo Mayer is starting at second base. Now, this perks some people's ears up a little bit. Could Marcelo Mayer be the Red Sox opening day second baseman? Well, Alex Cora was asked about this right before the game, and his answer to it really started to perk people's ears up, because his answer to whether or not Marcelo Mayer has a shot to be the Red Sox opening day second baseman was, quote, "Everyone has a shot." And honestly, why wouldn't Marcelo Mayer get a shot at opening day? Why wouldn't he get a shot to be the second baseman of the Boston Red Sox? We talk about the big three all the time. We talk about them coming into camp this year, and it was sort of like a, hey, the Red Sox have a lot of really talented players at the major league level. For the big three to make the team opening day, probably outside of Christian Campbell, they'd have to make a real statement. And to be honest with you, of these big three prospects, the guy who's made the biggest statement so far this spring, it has been Marcelo Mayer. Let's take a look at the statistics. In 15 games, he has a .357 average, a .438 on base percentage, and a .536 slug for a .973 OPS. He's coming off of a game yesterday where he ripped a triple off of big leaguer Casey Mize, who's been deadly this spring training. Of the three right now, who looks like the most polished and ready to succeed in MLB? The answer has to be Marcelo Mayer. I mean, just listen to Alex Cora talk about what has impressed him so far with Meyer's camp. Quote, "Controlling the strike zone. He's done a good job with that. The walk yesterday, I think he does a pretty good job of letting it eat when he has to, but he's done a good job laying off pitches. Base running wise, he's been outstanding. The two plays yesterday, two dirt ball, got the second, got the third. He's done it 4 times already in spring training, so the baseball player is real. He's not just a prospect, he's a baseball player." Right now, Marcelo Mayer is doing everything in his power to get himself onto the MLB roster. And right now, it feels like enough. So why would the prevailing theory still be that the Red Sox probably aren't going to start this guy in MLB? Well, the big answer, I think, is experience. And it's experience in a couple of different ways. First and foremost, if Marcelo Mayer were going to make the opening day roster, it wouldn't be as a shortstop, right? I know some people have come up with the idea of, hey, Marcelo Mayer's playing really well. Why don't we just have him start at shortstop and move Trevor Story to second base? And while Story was a fantastic second baseman, he's also one of the game's best defenders at shortstop, right? The argument against Trevor Story has never been this guy is a problem defensively. It's always been this guy can't stay on the field. If Trevor Story is healthy, he is one of the game's best defensive shortstops. Your goal this season, clearly, with the move to put Rafael Devers in that DH role, is to increase your defense exponentially. You are going to have to do that with Trevor Story at shortstop. It's just simply how it is. If he's healthy, he's going to be your shortstop, which means really the only path for Marcelo Mayer to make this big league roster is at second base. And that's where experience comes into play, because Marcelo has only played 2 games outside of shortstop in his professional career, and both of those were at third base. He's never truly started a game at second base in professional baseball. However, my argument to that is, one, if you watched Marcelo Mayer play yesterday, you'd have no idea he's never spent time at second base, right? He was turning double plays. He was getting the balls in the hole. He was making difficult throws to both first and second easily. He looked like absolute butter out there. You could not tell that Marcelo Mayer had never played a game at second. It was really, really impressive. 2, according to an article by Christopher Smith that we're going to put in the description of this video for those of you who want to read the full thing, Alex Cora said that Marcelo Mayer has been spending a ton of time at second base on the backfields. So he is getting some experience over there at second base. The problem with that is that it's just not as much experience as some of these other guys have, right? You look at David Hamilton, who's a candidate for second base. That's a guy who has legit major league experience, especially defensively. at second base. Christian Campbell has spent over 50 games at second base throughout his professional career, right? These are both guys who've gone through a whole bunch of different situations at second base that Marcelo Mayer just simply hasn't just yet. That could be a bit of a hesitation point for the Red Sox when it comes to whether or not they want to put Marcelo Mayer at second base. The other part of this experience portion of why Marcelo Mayer may not be ready for Major League Baseball, at least in the eyes of the Boston Red Sox, has to do with just simply being on the field. Marcelo Mayer has not spent any time above AA, whereas David Hamilton obviously has MLB experience and Christian Campbell got a cup of coffee in AAA last season. Marcelo Mayer was promoted to AAA, but he couldn't finish out that season due to his injury. If you compare sort of the conversation between, okay, who's more ready for Major League Baseball, Christian Campbell or Marcelo Mayer, that might be a big factor. Now, in my opinion, AAA isn't exactly the most important portion of a player's development. If you are a really good prospect, a lot of times AAA is just sort of a cup of coffee, right? It's a waiting room for Major League Baseball. For example, Rafael Devers, he only spent 15 games total in AAA throughout his minor league career. 9 games in 2017 and 6 games in 2018. Both of those were what? A singular week of AAA baseball before he was brought up to Major League Baseball, and he did, as we know, just fine at the Major League level, right? So a lot of times what's really important here is the development in AA. That is the biggest jump a prospect makes until they get to Major League Baseball in the minor league system. It's where the highest competition usually tends to be. Obviously, Marcelo Mayer killed AA pitching, and if that's any indication of what he can do at the Major League level, I would hate for the idea of the Red Sox saying, he needs 15 games in AAA before we can actually put him on the Major League roster. To me, that sounds a bit ridiculous, right? 2 weeks in AAA isn't going to be the difference between a really good player and a really bad player. So I really hope that isn't a reason why the Red Sox are not bringing him up to Major League Baseball. But at the same point, too, if they do feel as though they want him to get 30, 40 games in AAA, well, then that's a legitimate reason. But you also have to apply that to Christian Campbell as well, because he only got about 20 games in AAA. So if you're going to say, hey, Marcelo needs 30, 40 games in AAA, shouldn't the same logic go to Christian Campbell, who needs, 10, 20 more games in AAA, right? It's kind of a weird conversation to have if you're talking about guys having to get experience in that AAA segment. However, what I will say is there could be legitimate reasonings outside of experience. I think the big one I'm talking about here is Marcelo Mayer's ability to stay healthy. That has been really the big question with Marcelo over the last couple of years. It's the reason why we've seen him drop slightly in prospect rankings. Now, he's still a top 10, top 15 prospect, depending on where you look, because that talent is so immense. But he has dropped from a top 10 prospect to a top 15 prospect and dropped to the number 3 prospect in the Red Sox system, in large part due to the fact that he just simply hasn't been able to finish the season lately. Over his last 2 years, he's dealt with season-ending injuries that have prevented him from having a full season. Comparatively, right, again, you talk about Christian Campbell or Marcelo Mayer. Christian Campbell last season got 115 games between AA and AAA to develop different skills and start polishing some things off before he gets to Major League Baseball, whereas Marcelo Mayer still got a pretty decent sample size, but it was only 77 games. That's a difference of almost 40 games in minor league baseball, and that could be the difference between, okay, you're 95% of the way there to being a legit major leaguer, and 90%. That 5%, once you get to Major League Baseball, is going to be pretty important, and there are things that Marcelo Mayer still could use some time to develop. Specifically, I'm talking about his approach against left-handed pitching. He absolutely crushes righties. We know this, right? We saw what he did last season in minor league baseball. We saw the talent that he has at the plate in minor league baseball, but a large majority of that came off of right-handed pitching. Taking a look at the splits here, it was an 896 OPS against righties comparatively to a 674 OPS against lefties. That is a 200-point drop-off in his OPS numbers. Now, the thing that I'm going to kind of counter this with is it's not so much that Marcelo Mayer is having a really tough time making contact against lefties. Yes, the average is lower, but it's not like he's hitting 180 against lefties. He's hitting 258 against them last season. The big difference in statistics is that power number. Last season in minor league baseball, Marcelo Mayer had 28 doubles. 22 of those were against right-handed pitching. Right? Last year, he had 8 home runs. all of them were against right-handed pitching, right? You could see sort of where the Red Sox might sit there and say, well, wait a second here. Could Marcelo Mayer have troubles with left-handed pitching at the major league level, right? Because in AAA, you have the ability to really sort of face some not super great left-handed pitching. Some, let's say, journeymen, let's say some guys rehabbing, right? You may not be facing the cream of the crop. If you're to put him in Major League Baseball before that left-handed approach is developed, you're talking about throwing him into the wolves a little bit. You're talking about throwing him into the best left-handed pitching pool in the entire world. That's what Major League Baseball is, right? It's the best of the best. I don't know that Marcelo Mayer is fully ready to take on left-handed pitching at the Major League level. Now, I wish I had splits coming in from spring training and how he's doing against lefties, because he is playing against left-handed pitching in spring training. Unfortunately, we don't have those splits. That's going to be up to the Red Sox and Alex Cora to decide. So I think you can look at this overall and say, yeah, I can see where the Red Sox could sit there and say, I don't know if he's ready for Major League Baseball yet. But at the same point, if we're talking about the Red Sox having this philosophy of putting their best 26 men forward as soon as humanly possible and win as many games as humanly possible, I don't know how Marcelo Mayer is not in that conversation. Of the big three prospects, he has been the one who has performed the best at the plate, right? You talk about second base potentials, he's the one who's outperforming everyone at the plate in that second base pool, and he looks good defensively, right? It's not like, oh my God, his bat is fantastic, but it's going to take him 3 months to figure out second base. In 3 weeks, right, he looked like a very polished second baseman. I think you could nitpick and you could sit there and you could say all the different things like we just went over in this video that could prevent him from being a successful player out of the gate in Major League Baseball. But you could also look at what he's doing right now in spring training. You could look at what he's doing on the backfields and say, can this be viable for him to continue to develop in Major League Baseball and still be putting our best foot forward? Can he still work on developing that left-handed approach, work on developing that true defense at second base in Major League Baseball and still be a productive player? Honestly, right now, my answer is yes. I'm a guy who's been high on Marcelo Mayer for a very long period of time, and to see him do this in spring training is incredibly encouraging. There's a reason why I kept saying that of the big three, I think Marcelo Mayer has the highest floor. It's because of this, right? It's because of his ability to be an incredible defender. Pretty naturally, it's because of that ability to get on base, that power potential that's with that bat. There's so many good things going for Marcelo right now that if, in my opinion, you're hell-bent on keeping that second base option open for any one of these guys, right now, in my opinion, Marcelo Mayer is winning that battle. I still think overall the prevailing theory is correct and Marcelo Mayer will start in AAA, mostly because of everything we talked about and the fact that the Red Sox are just simply so high on Christian Campbell right now that they're going to try him out first. But I really think Marcelo Mayer, at the bare minimum, is very, very close to Major League ready. And at some point here, you are going to have to figure out how to make room for him because he's going to be coming in like an absolute animal. I truly believe that. At this point, though, I think the second base option, I think the second base role is still very much available. And if it is still available, they need to be considering Marcelo Mayer seriously because what he's doing this spring is exactly what you asked of him and more. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think? What do you think about Marcelo Mayer's sort of surprise push here for a potential second base role? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Could you see him as your opening day second baseman? What are your thoughts on all this? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting apps and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.